Hello everyone, I'm Blazing Wolf, and this game is Trailmakers. If you don't know, Trailmakers is a physics sandbox where you can build vehicles or pretty much anything actually. There's this shaped pieces, there's functional parts, and there's logic. It's basically an engineer's toy box. This game is perfect for the person who likes to play around with ideas and create their own things. It's a really cool game. I really appreciate Trailmakers. It's one of my most favorite games. I play it like almost every day, pretty much every day. And one of my favorite things to build is tanks. If you couldn't guess, this is a tank, in fact. And I like to build my tanks a little bit differently from other people. A lot of people will build their tanks to look realistic. And they look cool. But they're not very combat efficient, unfortunately. They're not terrible, especially if they spam mass blocks a lot in the right places. But looking realistic is decidedly not the most effective approach to building a good tank in Trailmakers. There are people who try to build for combat efficiency, and they're definitely tougher than the aesthetic builds. Though I don't really like to build tanks like those either. See, when I hear that this is the meta, this is what you need to do. You need to do things this way. I like to ignore that. That said, I like to pay attention a little. And I do listen. It's just that I like to try other things too. I like to do things my own way for a while. And then maybe I'll try the things I've been suggested, and I'll figure things out myself. And I'll find that, yeah, I see why people think that. I see why people think that that's the correct way to do things, but I also see why it's not. I also see how it's actually kind of foolish and inefficient. Because I found my own way. Because I didn't listen. Because I decided to try different things that I've seen nobody do. And that's what this is. A lot of combat build tanks, they kind of look like a regular tank, just with more armor around the guns and stuff. And they often use like a gyro to enhance the steering, which also adds stability. I don't really like to use gyros in any of my builds. I think it's kind of a cop-out. When you could just build a better thing, instead you just put a gyro inside it and it just automatically works better. It seems kind of lame. Gyros are definitely valid in certain cases. Like it's not really wrong to use them. It's just if you go straight to using gyros instead of learning how to do other things, you are definitely, you're cutting yourself out of other possibilities, and I don't believe in doing that. I don't want to use gyros. I don't want to build like everybody else. I like to do things my own way. And another thing I like to do my own way is, well, most people, when they think of tanks, they like to, well, maybe not like to, but they tend to assume that they are heavy, hulking brutes that are they're really tough because they're really heavy. And I don't like to do that, because really heavy is really slow. And that's weird, right? And tanks are slow. Tanks are heavy and slow. Well, I think tanks, while they do have to be kind of heavy, to absorb some damage, they really shouldn't be slow. And they really shouldn't be, sluggish to maneuver. Because I used to play a lot of Robocraft. And maybe that sounds silly, but no, Robocraft was also a physics sandbox game, but it was focused around PvP multiplayer entirely. And you couldn't do anything with logic. Everything kind of just worked. And you kind of just chose between keyboard or camera controls. And in Robocraft, I learned that speed, even though it's a good idea to be tough, speed really is one of the most important things in combat. When you're in a fight, the ability to evacuate and the ability to get into position faster than your enemies makes a huge difference. So, when I build tanks, I try not to build them too heavy. I used to build them too light, because that's how I like to do things. I like to do things fast. I like things to move fast and get to the place I want it to be as soon as possible. I don't like to wait. I don't like to sit and get shot over and over again. I like to get out of the way and dump as much of my ammunition into my enemy as I can in combat. So, my approach to building tanks is all about agility. And my tank, well, instead of gyros to enhance the steering, it has mechanically assisted steering. The tracks point inwards on both the front and back, creating a more circular distribution of force, which makes it steer so much faster than tank steering alone. And it is capable of doing both smooth steering and rapid turns. But that's not all my tank can do. My tank can strafe. So as you can see, as I said, my tank, the way I build in general, is all about agility. Nobody showed me. I never noticed anyone having tank tracks that could move like this. I never noticed anyone with wheels that could move like this. Nobody taught me how to build like this. I learned to do this because of the way I think. If there's anything I really want to say, it's like people should really, they shouldn't always do what other people say is the best thing to do. Sometimes it's better to do things your own way and to find your own truths and employ them as you see fit. Because If you just do what everybody else says to do, you're just going to end up doing the same exact thing as everyone else. And you'll never innovate. And you'll always be the same. You'll just have to work on your skill, I guess, within the same constraints as everyone else. Or you could just question what people say and see for yourself. Do your own damage testing. Try your own ideas. And just keep working on them until they start to work like you want. And even when they don't quite reach it, but they come close, you gotta figure out how to make it work perfectly. It's worth it in the end to try something that you've never seen anyone succeed at. Sometimes it's better to be different. Sometimes it's better to think different. It's better to try different things and not just go for the most efficient tactic available. I bid everyone, people who play this game and people who've never seen this game in their life, and they're just watching this video for some reason because they're curious. Everything you do in life, don't just do everything the way everyone else does. Don't be afraid to find a better way. It's worth it. Because I have fought seriously good tanks with this tank and came out ahead multiple times. I'm definitely, I'm not just stroking my own sausage. There's something special about this build that it helps it pull ahead most of the time. I'm usually just unlucky when it doesn't win. But it's really, I don't need to say anything more. This is my tank. It's a special tank, as you can see. And I bid everyone to try to do different things. Try to learn different things. Don't just do what everyone else tells you to do. You don't have to be like anyone. Think for yourself. Try your own ideas. Troubleshoot them until you figure out how to make them work. And put it all together, everything you've learned, into one thing, and it will be amazing. Just like this tank. If you enjoyed watching and listening, click like or something. Maybe hit subscribe. I don't know. I can't promise I'll upload regularly. I don't really have much reason to. But who knows? Maybe someday. If I get enough attention, I will happily start taking YouTube seriously. But I'm not sure it's for me. Because I don't want to make videos all the time. I don't always have something to show you. I'm not all about spamming content. Thank you for watching. And I hope you go try something new. You know? Do it. Do something crazy that nobody thinks will work, but be smart about it. Don't be a doofus. Don't kid yourself. Never give up. There's always another way. Never be afraid to think outside the box. Never stifle your own innovation to serve the perspective, the delusions held by others. Do not let people rule your perception. Thank you. Have a nice day.